Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, April 13, 2021, and welcome to our math class. I want to thank all of our students for doing so well on their Bible quiz, for getting all those questions correct, and also for completing their assignments that were assigned yesterday for math. Today, as we go through our math class, I'm just going to share my screen here and go through some of the questions that you will most likely be seeing on your math assignments. We're going to begin with the 8th grade assignments, and then we'll jump to the 10th grade assignments so that you can have an idea of what the questions will look like and how you can approach the questions. We'll click start. And again, you won't see the same questions, but you will see similar questions to the ones that you already have. So how we approach this question is we're going to first grab a notebook and a pencil or pen so that we're writing down the questions so that when we do a mastery challenge tomorrow, we're able to go back to the book, to the notebook to see how we approach the question so we can answer those questions correctly for tomorrow. So let's read the question. It says, which of the following equations has -6 as a possible value of A? Which of the following equations has -6 as a possible value of A? Choose all answers that apply. So first equation is A squared is equal to 36. And the second equation is A cubed is equal to 216. Now, we know that if we cube a negative number, which means we're multiplying it by itself 3 times, we're going to get a negative answer. So B would not be a correct option. If we square a negative number, negative times negative is a positive. So we will get a positive answer. So A is a possible answer. And if A is correct and B isn't correct, we cannot select C because C says none of the above. So let's check this one to see that is correct, and it is. One thing that I would encourage you to do is to write those questions down. So I'm writing down A squared is equal to 36. And then -6 times -6 is equal to positive 36. So that is a possible answer to the equation A, -6, a possible answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. This one says, find the solutions of the following equation. So here's the equation. The equation is C squared is equal to 121. So whatever two numbers we multiply by itself, right? Multiply them twice, it's C squared. It has to give you a positive 121. Okay, so you have a calculator close by. When you put 11 times 11 in your calculator, you get 121. So A is correct. Okay, and again, we're choosing all answers that apply. So A is correct because 11 times 11, positive 11 times positive 11 is 121. Let's try B. Again, we know if we multiply two negative numbers, we're going to get a positive answer. So -11 times -11, if you put that into your calculator, you will also get positive 121. So positive 11 is a possible answer, and -11 is also a possible answer. So we'll select A and B. Now, of course, 13 times 13 is not 121. If you put that in your calculator, you will get 169. So if C isn't correct, then D isn't correct either. And of course, we have selected 2 of the above, so E and none of the above would not be correct. So let's check our answer here. And that is correct. Let's move on to the next question. So these are very simple, very straightforward. Once you have a calculator and you understand cube roots and square roots. Again, square roots is when you multiply the same number by itself twice, and cube roots is when you multiply that number by itself 3 times. Here is question 3. It says, find the real solutions of the following equation. The equation is x cubed is equal to 512. So really it's asking you what number, when I multiply it by itself 3 times, I get 512. Well, is that 6? Well, let's see. In your calculator, you put 6 times 6 times 6, you get 216. So we know it's not 6. Well, the other option we have is 8. Let's verify it with the calculator. 8 times 8 times 8 does give you 512. Now remember, If you're multiplying a negative number by itself 3 times, you will get a negative answer. So negative 8 would not be an answer here, because when you multiply it by itself 3 times, we would get negative 512. So the only answer here is C, x equals 8. And of course, E isn't an option because we've already selected one of the above. Okay, that is correct. Let's do the last one, question 4. Question 4 says this: which of the following equations has both negative 5 and 5 as possible values of z? Now, of course, negative 5 and 5 as possible values, so we're looking for the option for that. Well, let's see here. If we square a negative number, we will get a positive answer. We know that. So let's see what negative 5 times negative 5 is. Negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25, and that option isn't there. The z squared then would not be 36, but 25. So A would not be a possible answer. And of course, we know here, if we cube a negative number, we get a negative answer. So B would also not be an option, right? Because it's both negative 5 and 5 as possible values of z. So A wouldn't be correct, and B wouldn't be correct. So we would choose C, which is none of the above. And there you have it. That's how you do equations with square roots and cube roots. Again, make sure you go back to the problems we just did. Go back to the video so you can see again how we did these equations, or how we solved these equations with square roots and cube roots. And the video here will have a timeline on it. So after the premiere, you will be able to click the timeline to the specific section to see exactly how to do your particular problem that you're looking to find out how to do. All right, so we'll click done on that. So you can see here that is completed. We got 100% on that assignment. Let's look at one more for the 8th grade class. Let's look at the next one, roots of decimals and fractions. Let's look at that one. So we'll click start. Again, we have 4 questions. Let's go with this one. So this problem is, we're supposed to find the square root. So this sign here is square root. They're asking us to find the square root of 49 over 81. 49 over 81. So of course, here's a calculator. First, we're going to find the square root of 49. So we put that in our calculator. The square root of 49 is 7. And that means that 7 times 7 gives you 49. So the top number here, our numerator, will be 7. And the square root of 81, which means what number, if I multiply it by itself twice, will give me 81? Well, the square root of 81, we should know, is 9, because 9 times 9 is 81. So the answer for this problem would be 7 over 9. That is the square root of 49, which is 7, over the square root of 81, which is 9. 7 over 9 should be your answer. That is correct. Let's move on to question 2. This says, what is the square root of 4.84? What is the square root of 4.84? You'll put that into your calculator, and if you put it in correctly, you should get 2.2. The square root of 4.84, just put it in your calculator, you'll get 2.2. So again, you're seeing it is necessary for you to have a calculator to do these problems. All right, make sure you have one. Question 3. What is the square root of 9 over 100? Again, we're splitting these numbers up. The square root of 9 we should know is 3, because 3 times 3 is 9. And the square root of 100 we should know is 10, because 10 times 10 gives you 100. So the answer here should be 3 over 10. Very good. Let's move on to the final question. The square root of 1.69. The square root of 1.69. When you place that correctly into your calculator, your scientific calculator, you should get 1.3, which means that 1.3 times 1.3 should give you 1.69. And that is correct. We've completed our assignment on roots of decimals and fractions. We've gotten 100% on that. So hopefully that helps the 8th grade class with the assignments that they have to do, having to do with square roots and cube roots and roots of decimals and fractions. Okay, so make sure you use this section of the video to answer those questions. Moving on now to the 10th grade, let's look at some similar problems that you will see that has to do with variables on both sides. Let's begin this first section here. Again, it gives 4 questions, and these questions will be similar to the questions that you'll see in each of your individual assignment tabs. Okay, here we go. Again, it's important for you also, just like the 8th grade class, to have a notebook and pen handy so that you're able to write down the problem so that tomorrow when you do your master challenge in Khan Academy, you already have the notes to guide you through how to answer correctly those questions, okay? Question 1 says, solve for G. So we want to solve for G, and of course, we know how to do that. We're trying to get G by itself on one side. The first thing we do is we combine like terms, and then we simplify and we solve for the variable they're asking us to solve for. And in this case, that variable is G. So let's write out the question in our notebook first. So -3 plus 5 plus 6G is equal to 11 minus 3G. Let me give you 1 minute to write that out in your notebook. Solve for G. -3 plus 5 plus 6G is equal to 11 minus 3G. I'm going to give you 1 minute to write that down. Your minute starts now. So you've written your question down. Now let's solve for G. So the first thing we mentioned that we do is we combine like terms. So we have variables here, and we have constants or integers, negative and positive numbers that we'll be combining. So the first thing we'll do is let's move 6G over the equal sign. So it's with -3G. And let's move 11 over the equal sign. So it's with the -3 and the 5, all right? Of course, when we move numbers over the equal sign, numbers and variables, the sign changes. So positive 6G will become negative 6G. Positive 11 will become negative 11. So let's rewrite the equation now, having moved the variable and the constant. Your equation will now look like -3 plus 5 minus 11 is equal to -3G minus 6G. Again, we just moved positive 11 over the equal sign, it became -11. We moved positive 6G over the equal sign, it became -6G. Okay? Now that we've moved our variable and our constant, we now have like terms on either side. So now let's combine the terms. -3 plus 5 is +2. +2 minus 11 is -9. So we have -9 on the left side. And -3G minus 6G, we have two negative numbers on the left side. We combine them and we keep the sign. So now we have -3G minus 6G is -9G. So we have now -9 is equal to -9G. Of course, we're going to solve for G. So we're going to move -9 from the G. We'll bring it over. If it was multiplication on the right side, it becomes division on the left side. So now we have -9 divided by -9 is equal to G. Of course, it's the same number being divided by itself, so the answer is going to be +1, right? So -9 divided by -9 is +1. So our answer here should be +1, and that is correct. Again, remember the rules for solving equations with variables on both sides. You combine like terms, You simplify the like terms and then you divide to find or to solve for your variable that you need to solve for. Okay, hopefully you've written that down. Let's move on to question 2. Question 2 says, solve for S. I'm going to give you a shorter time than 1 minute for this one. Let me give you 30 seconds to write this question down. Your 30 seconds begin now. Good. So now let's solve for S. Again, we are following the format for how to solve equations with variables on both sides. The first step is to do what? Combine like terms. That's correct. We're going to combine like terms. So we're going to move the S with the equal sign and we'll move the 8 over the equal sign. So that becomes negative 4S minus S is equal to 13 minus 8. Negative 4S minus S is negative 5S. And that's going to be equal to 13 minus 8 is 5, so positive 5. So now we have negative 5S is equal to positive 5. Of course, to find S, we just divide, remove a negative 5. So now we have S is equal to 5 divided by negative 5. Answer there is going to be negative 1. 5 divided by negative 5 is negative 1. And that is correct. So again, really, we're writing down our equations. We're following the rules. We're combining like terms, simplifying the like terms we've combined, and then we're solving for our variable. Okay, let's do question 3. Again, let's write this down. 30 seconds to write down the problem, then we'll begin. Now let's solve for C. So here is our equation. The equation is 6C plus 14 is equal to a negative 5C plus 4 plus 9C. So a little more numbers and variables here. That's fine because we're still following our format, our rules for solving these equations. We're going to combine like terms and then we're going to simplify. So let's get the C's together and let's get the constants together. We already have negative 5C and 9C on the right side. So let's move 6C over with those two as well. Positive 6C going over the equal sign will become negative 6C. So let's do that now. So we have 14 minus 4. Remove of a positive 4 became negative 4. So 14 minus 4 on the left side is equal to negative 5C plus 9C. So we're writing back the variables that are already on the right side and we're adding the next variable, okay? So negative 5C plus 9C minus 6C. So now we've combined like terms. Let's simplify that. 14 minus 4 we know is 10. Negative 5C plus 9C is positive 4. It's like same thing as 9 minus 5. Remember, these are commutative, right? 9 minus 5. So that's 4C. And positive 4C minus 6C is negative 2C. So now we have 10 is equal to negative 2C. Of course, we're solving for C. So we're going to divide by negative 2. So C is equal to 10 divided by negative 2. And of course, we know when you cut 10 in half, you get 5. And if you're dividing it by negative 2, you're going to get negative 5. Okay, so the answer here should be negative 5. Let's check. That is correct. Okay, let's do our last question, question 4. By now you should be pretty good at writing these down. So let's write that down now. I won't even give you a timer for this one. 2d plus 4 is equal to 10 plus 5d. And we're solving for d. So again, 2d plus 4 is equal to 10 plus 5d, solving for d. Okay, so again, we're combining like terms and then we'll simplify. So let's combine like terms. Let's bring the positive 2 over the equal sign, and then we'll bring the 10 over the equal sign. All right, so we have 4 minus 10 is equal to 5d minus 2d. 4 minus 10 is negative 6. It's like negative 10 plus 4. So it's negative 6 is equal to 5 minus 2 is 3. So negative 6 is equal to 3d. Of course, we're solving for d, so we're going to divide by 3. So d is equal to negative 6 divided by 3, and that is equal to negative 2. So our answer here should be negative 2. Let's make sure that is correct. That is correct. So we have completed our assignment for equations with variables on both sides. Now, I do believe that your other assignment, equations with variables on both sides, decimals and fractions, is very similar to the one we just did. Again, there'll be a timestamp on this video, so you can jump to your section that you're wanting to have explained. All the best with your assignments. Again, if you have any questions, make sure you ask for help. We are here to help you learn and grow. This is what we call Brain Training Week. And again, you're developing the growth mindset to push forward, to learn, and to develop so that you can excel at whatever math grade level you're currently at.